Hey everyone, and welcome to today's Explainer. Today we're diving into something that literally powers our entire lives. It affects every single one of us every minute of the day, yet, well, we usually don't even think about it until the lights go out. I'm talking about our electrical infrastructure. Now, as power system planners and utility decision makers, we know that modernizing the century-old system isn't just some flashy tech upgrade. It's an absolute financial and operational imperative.
To really grasp why this is so urgent, just take a look at this number, $150 billion, with a B. That's the estimated cost of power outages to U.S. businesses every single year. Let that sink in. Every time the grid goes down, productivity grinds to a halt, critical data is lost, and revenue just vanishes. We simply can't afford to lean on an infrastructure that bleeds this much capital, right? We desperately need a system that's resilient, proactive, and hyper-efficient.
So here's our playbook for today. We'll start with traditional versus smart grid, move into IoT sensors and grid monitoring, then look at optimizing billing and peak demand. After that, we'll cover balancing variable renewable energy, automated rerouting and weather resilience, and finally wrap up with black start and regulatory protocols. Let's jump right in.
Section 1. Traditional grid versus smart grid, the baseline imperative.
Okay, so when we put these two side by side, the differences are night and day. The traditional grid, it was built for one-way traffic. You generate power centrally, push it down the line, and rely on manual monitoring and manual fixes when things inevitably break. The smart grid completely flips that script. We're talking two-way communication, distributed generation, and a networked topology. Instead of manual checks, it's self-monitoring. Instead of manual restoration, it actually self-reconfigures. It's literally the difference between flying blind and having a state-of-the-art radar system.
Moving to Section 2. IoT sensors and grid monitoring, operations at the edge.
The whole foundation of this operational shift rests on something called AMI, or Advanced Metering Infrastructure. Think of AMI as the vital nervous system connecting smart meters with utility ops. It provides the two-way communication backbone we need for everything from remote billing to outage detection and demand forecasting. It's the digital bridge taking us from those old, estimated analog readings to precise, real-time data.
And out in the field, this is driven by IoT sensors. They are continuously monitoring the vital signs of the grid. We're talking voltage levels, electrical current, grid frequency, even the physical temperature of the transformers, and just overall equipment health. What does this mean for us? Well, utility operators are no longer waiting for a customer to call and say a transformer blew. They're actually predicting failures and fixing things before the power ever goes out. It's a total game changer.
All right, Section 3. Optimizing billing and peak demand, the financial ROI. Now let's talk money, because this real-time intelligence drives massive cost savings. Take a look at energy demand and pricing between peak and off-peak hours. By using demand response programs and time-of-use pricing, utilities can flatten that peak load. When you share real-time pricing data, you incentivize people, whether it's a huge factory or just a homeowner charging their EV, to shift their heavy usage to off-peak hours. That's when the grid is most stable and generation costs are dirt cheap.
For utility decision makers, the direct ROI here is undeniable. You get perfectly accurate billing. You massively reduce operational costs because you're optimizing load distribution. But here's the best part. By managing demand this effectively, you can actually avoid, or at least indefinitely postpone, having to build incredibly expensive new power lines and central plants. That's a massive, massive saving in capital expenditure.
Section 4. Balancing variable renewable energy, managing the complexity.
I absolutely love this concept. The smart grid takes your everyday energy consumer and turns them into what researchers call a prosumer. It's producer plus consumer. Because the grid handles bidirectional power flow, a house with solar panels isn't just draining energy, they're generating it and feeding the excess right back into the network. It creates this highly dynamic, localized energy sharing economy.
But, as cool as that sounds, it introduces a really complex operational hurdle. Traditional grid planning was easy, right? You had a steady, predictable baseload, mostly fossil fuels churning away at large centralized plants. But today, we're dealing with variable, distributed energy. I mean, the sun doesn't always shine, and the wind doesn't always blow. To keep the grid from collapsing under that unpredictability, we absolutely rely on the real-time load balancing that only a digitized smart grid can pull off.
Section 5. Automated rerouting and weather resilience, navigating the contingencies.
When a massive storm hits, the smart grid essentially runs a high-stakes rescue mission all on its own. It uses a super precise self-healing sequence. Step 1. Edge sensors detect a grid fault the exact millisecond it happens. Step 2. IoT gateways securely blast that data back to the utility. And Step 3. Automated distribution equipment, like smart switches, instantly isolates the damage and reroutes power around it. Boom! You just stopped a single fallen tree from causing a citywide blackout. The resilience value of this is just incredible. Think about the old days, sending trucks out to manually hunt for a broken wire. Now, we have faster fault isolation and vastly shorter outages. And when repair crews are dispatched, they are sent directly to the targeted location. It's safer for them, and it means far less disruption for the customer.
Finally, Section 6, Black Start and Regulatory Protocols, ensuring system preservation.
Putting our planner hats back on for a second, a total system failure is the ultimate nightmare scenario. If the whole grid goes down, we have to execute what's called a black start to bring it back to life. Under strict NIST regulatory guidelines, we have to identify and protect critical assets. We're talking control centers, substations, generation resources, and specifically our black start resources and cranking paths. Those are literally the jumper cables for the grid. Now, because the smart grid extends connectivity all the way out to the edge, to meters on people's houses, it opens up serious cyber vulnerabilities. With all that great real-time data comes a massive obligation to protect the system. The stakes couldn't be higher. Keeping these Black Start assets safe from a cyber attack means we have to lock things down with encrypted communications, secure network segmentation, and super strict device authentication to stop any malicious data injection. So to wrap up today's explainer, I want to pose a question to all the utility planners and decision makers out there. Think about your current infrastructure investment. Is it resilient enough to instantly execute tomorrow's Black Start contingencies? Because honestly, upgrading to a smart grid isn't just about saving a few bucks on operations. It's about securing the very lifeblood of our modern economy against a world that is getting more unpredictable by the day. Thanks so much for joining me for this analysis. See you next time.